and the wolf will dwell with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the goat, and the calf and the fatling and the wolf together, and a child shall lead them. I'd like to share with you an incident that occurred a couple months ago. I was talking with a co-worker, and she was talking about her family. She was raised by her grandparents after her mother died at a young age. After she left home, she went to school and moved to Baltimore. She would go back once, twice a month to visit, to help with the household chores, and to take her grandparents shopping. Well, my co-worker Jenny met and fell in love with an older man, a man who had 2 children from a previous marriage. And on this particular day, she was going to go and visit her grandparents. And this gentleman's daughter, teenage daughter, asked, "Miss Jenny, may I go with you?" And she said yes. Well, when the grandparents saw this child, they started wondering. For you see, the child was biracial. And so they asked, "Is she Chinese?" No. "Is she Mexican?" No. "Is she black?" "Yes," Jenny said. "She is black and white." Well, now, just which parent is black? And to their horror, these grandparents found out that their white granddaughter was dating a black man. For Jenny had been raised that she was never to speak to black boys or men, and her grandfather had told her, "If you ever marry a black man, I will disown you." The day that the grandparents met Tia, that brown child, the grandfather stopped speaking to Jenny. He ignored her at family events. He slammed the door when she came to visit, and he did not come to the wedding when Jenny married that black man. Old grandmother and grandpa had fights because grandmother was determined, "I've already lost my daughter and I'm not going to lose my grandchild." So Jenny continued to visit, and Tia would go with her. Tia, a teenage girl. Now we know teenagers, they don't want to hang around with seniors, cooking and cleaning and doing chores. Teenage girls, they want to text and Twitter on the phone. They want to go shopping in the mall, and they want to go on dates. But every time Tia would go with Miss Jenny, and she'd say, "Hello, Mr. Porter," and he would turn his back on her. She would go, "Good day, Mr. Porter," and he would slam the door in her face. But Tia continued to go with Miss Jenny to visit. Grandmother was ailing and took to her bed. And Tia and Jenny would go, and they would comb her hair and moisten her dry lips, wash her body, and change the bed linens. Tia would hold the phone so Grandma could talk to her brothers and sisters, and Grandpa would turn his back on them. One day, Tia was sitting and she was reading the Bible to Grandma, and Grandpa came in. And he looked at this little brown child that had been caring for the woman that he loved for 50 years. And he said, "How's school?" And she, amazed, shocked that he spoke to her, said, "Fine." "Do you have many races in class with you?" And she said, yes, blacks, whites, Latinos, Asian. And he said, it wasn't like that when I went to school, and I don't know how to handle it. Tia told her family later, Grandpa was apologizing the only way that he knew how. Grandma was dying, and the family had gathered around, and they were joining hands to pray. And lo and behold, Grandpa was standing next to that little brown child. You could hear a pin drop. The family didn't know what was going to happen, what to expect. And Grandpa reached out to that little girl and he said, give me your hand, child. And he embraced her. And the last thing that Grandma saw as she lay dying was her family, black, brown, and white. What we see happened at the funeral. Grandpa walked up to his granddaughter's black husband and for the first time in 5 years spoke and said, thank you for coming and thank you for taking care of my granddaughter. For you see, love, perseverance, and forgiveness overcame ignorance, prejudice, and discrimination. And the little child led them home.
Thank you, Chartruse.